Hey folks, Pat here from DNS, and this Madison area fishing report is current as of Friday, May 30th. Happy Friday, everybody. You made it through another week, so congrats on that. We do have a lot of stuff to talk about, and I have been super busy this morning. I haven't even had a chance to think about recording my report, and it's afternoon already, so let's just try to knock this out here. The Yahara Fishing Club was in last night. They were putting together rods for their kids' fishing day, which is being held tomorrow, Saturday, May 31st at the Warner Park Lagoon. Yeah, they'll all be meeting down there at the Rainbow Shelter. So head on down there 9 o'clock. Be there on time or even early if you want, because they're giving away 300 rod and reel combos to every kid who attends, and they will be gone by the end of the day. It's going to be a beautiful day. It's a very well attended event, and it's a really great event. So head on down there. They have experts on hand to show you what's up. I donate bait to the event, and happy to do that. And so you can use the opportunity to get a kid into fishing. They walk away with a free rod and reel. They even have hot dogs and chips and soda afterwards. So, I mean, what more could you want? Yahara Fishing Club, great group. I encourage everybody and their mother to support them any way that you can. If you don't want to do that, Southern Wisconsin Trout Unlimited is having a work day on the Sugar River. And this is a prep day for another work day they have in the fall where a crew from Steel Chainsaws is coming out. They have a group of guys that they kind of loan out to different nonprofits. And so that crew will be coming by in the fall. This workday tomorrow is mostly just cutting understory stuff and getting ready for that trip or for that workday. So that's going to be on the Durst property on Riverside Road. It's just southwest here of Verona a little bit. You take 69 south and then turn on, what is it, Riverside Drive. So this is a great opportunity to help out the resource, meet some cool folks that do these things, and explore an area of stream you might not be familiar with. This is a new property acquired by the county recently, so it is public property. And yeah, it's a great opportunity to do some great work. You may have saw this last week, last Saturday, we were on the Larry Smith Show. So Brian Zubke, Noah Humfeld, and Pete Hupp were doing a show on catching bluegills, and they came in here and surprised me, to be fair. Yeah, they asked me to be on camera. I talked a little bit about reels, and it was a bit of a kind of a check that box for a childhood dream of being on a actual fishing show. So that's fun, and yeah, it was a great opportunity, and I definitely want to thank Noah and Brian and Pete for getting me in there, and thank Larry, of course, for putting us on the show. They do these shorts with a lot of that stuff, and then they put those out on YouTube or social media and stuff like that. And this one of Noah talking about a quote unquote secret bluegill lure, they're just trout flies, and a lot of people know about them, especially if you fly fish. You can see there these little prince nymphs and stuff are really great bluegill lures. And anyway, I'm just mentioning this because this video, last I checked, had 1.4 million views on Facebook. So that is crazy what social media can take off with. I guess what else we got? A little bit of shop news here. Leeches. We got leeches, and they're big now. These are what I'd call jumbos. So we're all stocked up. My bait truck just dropped off a little bit ago. Got some more in. Stop in and stock up if you want. This would be the time to do it. Anytime now through basically the end of June, we should have nice, healthy leeches like this. So, yeah, that's always something folks like to do. As far as posters go, we got a blood drive up the street at the church on July 15th. See you at Breeze. This Distill America event is at Breeze Stevens Field downtown, also on Saturday. So you can take the kids over to the kids' fishing day in the morning and then head over to Breeze Stevens and drink some craft spirits. So that's what this is. It's all a bunch of like craft, like craft breweries, but this is craft kind of spirits event down there. A bunch of guys that fish host that, so they asked me to put the poster up. This event that the Driftless Anglers hosting on June 6th. I've been telling everybody it was in Viroqua. It's actually in Richland Center at the Starlight Drive-In Theater, right there as you come into town. So that's a great venue, closer to Madison than Viroqua is, and it should be awesome. Kaylin Hoggard, local guide and casting instructor, and also newly added to the USA fly casting team. So congrats to him on that. He is hosting a casting competition out there at this event on June 6th. So go out there. I know Harley from the shop here. He's going to be out, slinging some line and competing with some of these guys. And yeah, see how you hold up. I tell you what, if you want to be embarrassed though about your cast, watch Kalen for a little bit. He can throw some line. Anyway, I got the Kids Fishing Day poster. Also, the Line Workers group. I mentioned them many times in my report. They're like a social group for fly anglers, and they're going to be meeting up at Remington's Bar in Cross Plains, right on the main drag there, 7 o'clock next Thursday. So there's experts there, there's beginners there, and it's kind of a fun group for everybody. I think that does it for announcements. Let's get into the report. And tournaments. Looks like there's a small tournament Saturday on Mendota. I think it was 20 boats. The one I did want to mention was a group called the Milwaukee Bassers is hosting a tournament, and they're going to be 60 boats deep, launching somewhere on Waubesa. I'm not sure, probably Lake Farm. And they're spread out between Monona, Waubesa, and Keeganza. So just if you see more boats out there than usual, that's why. Otherwise, weather-wise, outside of a little rain and cool temps on Wednesday, we had another gorgeous week here in the Madison area. Today and the weekend look beautiful with temps in the 70s and temps in the 80s to start next week. And that should kick the bluegills off into full-on spawn mode, which we'll talk about as we go through the report. The Mendota buoy is reading, let's see, it was 59 this morning. It's up to 60.8 now, and that will continue to rise with some of these warmer temps that we have coming up. And, I usually segue this into generally talking about things on the chain. It's hard to talk about generally on the chain because right now the conditions vary from Waubesa or Keeganza all the way up to Mendota, that you have fish that are done spawning on Keeganza that haven't even started on Mendota. So the water starts in Mendota colder and warms as it goes down. But I'll cover what's spawning where as we go through. But generally speaking, smallmouth bass and crappies are done spawning on Keeganza, and you got gills on beds down here. You got largemouth bass on beds, and then to a lesser extent, you get fewer gills and largemouth on beds as you go up the chain. But then you get to Lake Mendota, you still have smallmouth on beds, you still have crappies on beds. Largemouth are just making beds, and the bluegills aren't even close. So, but we'll talk more on some of that as we go through the report. And I guess speaking of beds, I'll do my little spiel here. If you're fishing beds, please don't keep the fish. Let's just let those go so they can do their thing and continue the great fishery we have here in town. Those fish will be there after spawn, and they will be hungry after spawn. Otherwise, if you can get away from the weeds that are starting to kick up in many shallow areas around town, the pan fishing has been good for gills, spikes, waxworms on an ice jig, or redworms on a little bit bigger jig are working well for those fish. For crappies, crappie minnows or a small minnow-shaped plastic on a jig under a bobber is a pretty safe bet. Bass anglers have been doing well with any number of presentations, Ned rigs, chatterbaits, swim baits, lipless crankbaits, all good producers. Walleye anglers have been pretty happy lately too. Folks fishing for shore have had good success, mostly during low light hours, casting paddle tail swim baits, jerk baits like husky jerks. And if you're in a boat, look to those same shallow areas during low light periods. But work deeper rocky shoreline breaks adjacent to those shallow flats if you're fishing during the day. Otherwise, on the live bait side of things for walleyes, walleye minnows, blacktail chubs, small suckers all work. And of course, I mentioned we have leeches, so pick up some of those. Any of those options, live bait options on a jig, drop shot, or under a slip bobber can be super effective. If it's pike you're after, they'll grab just about any lure you throw at them, but our large shiners are a pretty safe bet on the live bait side of things. Otherwise, I haven't heard much in the way of muskie action around town, but usually this time of year, working bucktails over weeds can be pretty effective. And don't forget about trout. I'll get into more details at the end of the report like I always do for my fly and trout fishing feature, but we've only got a couple weeks left before the weed and bugs show up and heat. So get out there and enjoy it while you can. I'll get into a little bit more detail up here on the north side on Cherokee. The weeds have come up to the point where fishing is not really that possible from shore. I guess you could maybe throw like a topwater frog through there and have some action. But if you have a small watercraft, you can launch here at the school road launch and get out into the main channel. Folks have been getting some bass with lots of pike causing trouble up there, but pike are fun to catch too. And then there's tons of panfish up there too. So if you can get out away from the weeds and kind of cast into them, that's probably a better bet than trying to do it from shore. Down to the 113 bridge, we've got catfish are still for sure the star of the show down there. Giant catfish. Worms are more the name of the game now. You can still use cut bait and catch fish, but we're transitioning into worm time now. And those fish are not only at 113, but also down in the lake itself, mostly hanging out here in North Bay and while they wait to do their spawn, which should be in just a couple weeks. Otherwise, Mendota itself, actually the fishing on Mendota has been a little bit tough. The water is now very, very clear. I hear you can see all the way to the bottom in as much as 20 feet of water. So that's challenging. If you're kind of trying to jig over fish or sneak up on them, they can see you probably before you can see them. But smallmouth bass are wrapping up spawning, and I've heard of a couple reports of crappies on beds. My son and I were out Sunday, and we did see some largemouth starting to set up on beds. Didn't see any bluegills around. They're waiting for the water to warm up. But generally speaking, if it's panfish you're after, look to shallow inlets like Marshall Park, Spring Harbor, um, Dangle Bay over here. But also, big shallow flats. You got University Bay down here. The North Bay is also good. Great areas to look for panfish, although the weeds are starting to come up in some of those areas. Um, as far as smallmouth bass go, you can find most of those still up shallow. You might still find some on beds, but they're going to be coming off soon. But rocky areas, Maple Bluff, Governor's Island, Second Point, Picnic Point, are all pretty safe bets. And some of those same areas also for the walleyes, but just out a little bit deeper. So look for those on rocky shoreline breaks. If it's sunny, look a little deeper. If it's cloudy, you can work a little shallower, and you'll likely find fish. But again, the clear water has made things a little bit difficult for people. Pike are pretty much everywhere. You could put a treble hook on your keys and probably throw it out there and catch pike. Otherwise, Tenney Park breakwall has been a nice mixed bag of fish. A lot of smallmouth. They like to spawn in these flats out in front here. So a lot of smallmouth, but walleyes at night have been good. Walleyes and bluegills below the lock and dam here. Mostly during low light periods. And, there's always a nice mixed bag of fish. I saw the DNR was in there shocking sturgeon the other day. They got a couple of fish over 50 inches, which is always super cool to see. Otherwise, the Yahara River, you never know what you find. Maybe white bass. You just never know. It's a nice mixed bag of fish, as is the area where the Yahara River dumps in. Otherwise, Lake Monona itself is, sort of the same deal on Lake Mendota, but the water is getting warmer. So I am hearing about bluegills starting to make beds up here. I just heard this morning a guy was saying he saw some males like actively sweeping off beds. So they're going to be moving up soon, and that's game on for a really great pan fishery here. And again, if you're targeting those fish, let them do their thing so we can keep everything rocking here. But if you're looking for fish, look to shallow areas. City shoreline's great. Monona shoreline's great. Anywhere shallow, you're going to find fish. Turville Bay had a ton of weeds in it when my son and I were out driving around. So I don't know if the weeds are like that still. Squaw Bay or Weechawak Bay is also a great spot to check out, and Monona Bay, of course, the star of the panfish universe here in Madison. Lots of bluegills in there. The crappie have kind of moved out, and I am hearing about good crappie or bluegill action. The crappie have kind of slowed, I think, because they're spawning right now. But the crappies will be back out there in a week or two, and the bluegills will be doing their thing. But yeah, things are rocking off the wall over there. Lake Wingra, panfish, a lot of small bluegills in there, good largemouth bass population, and I've heard of a few muskies. The area below the Wingra Dam always holds, some good panfish and a nice mixed bag of fish down there, really. Otherwise, moving down the chain on Upper Mud, you can fish the dredge hole out here, the edges, a lot of panfish hanging out over there. Otherwise, the shallow flats around here hold good largemouth bass, although the weeds are getting pretty thick up there. Same thing on the north end of Wapisa. You're going to have a lot of shallow flats, but a lot of thick weeds in there. So, you know, we checked out Lake Farm on Sunday too when we were driving around, and you couldn't even launch a boat at Lake Farm. I guess they have had the weed cutters in there since then, and things are a lot better. But right now, it's the bluegills should be moving up there and making beds. The crappies are probably done. Largemouth too should be on beds, and they'll be moving off soon. Same deal on the south end of the lake. If it's walleyes you're looking for, I would look between Babcock and Bible Camp. This whole shoreline's good, and a little bit north of Babcock too. Some nice rocky breaks out there. And I haven't heard much on the way of muskies on Monona or Wabisa yet. So, and like I said in the intro, that's typically something that gets going usually about June or so. Lake Kegonsa, good panfish action up in the Fish Camp County Park area. Big flats up there. You're going to have to dodge some weeds, but you will find fish. And anywhere shallow on the lake, you will likely find some bluegills up and spawning. Otherwise, walleyes along the state park, I've heard about some decent action in that respect over there. Otherwise, yeah, moving on outside the chain here, down on the Rock River, Indian Ford and Jefferson dams, it's mixed bag time of the year now. You never know what you'll find down there. I hear about a lot of sheep's head, some white bass, some small walleyes, smallmouth bass, and of course, flathead catfish, especially the Jefferson Dam can be good. Otherwise, Lake Koshkonong has the walleyes have moved back out of the river. Now they're back down there, and that's a good trolling bite for the rest of the summer. I haven't heard anything off Beaver Dam, but there's a great catfish population up there. I'm sure they're getting ready to spawn. Devil's Lake State Park has been cranking out some decent trout. Otherwise, you got the Wisconsin River. The smallmouth are done spawning, so look for them in their usual haunts. Look to the areas below sandbars, deeper corners, outside edges of corners. And of course, wood along the shoreline can be great for smallmouth. And I've heard about some good action on topwater, but mostly like minnow imitations, Clouser minnows, Murdich minnows, stuff like that are super good. Spinners work great. Uh, Otherwise, up at all the dams, again, mixed bag time of year, and it's going to be like that all summer. So you can find all kinds of different fish at all the dams up and down the river. Lake Wisconsin walleye action has been decent, but I haven't heard about much size. It sounds like a lot of smaller fish, and at least the folks I talk to. And then you got panfish in your shallow bays, and it's going to be like this for a lot of the summer. We're just going to kind of be hitting cruise control on the reports as we go through. But Wisconsin Dells, Castle Rock, Petenwell Dams, same thing with the mixed bag over there. Mississippi River, haven't heard much going on. Sounds like a nice mixed bag of fish off the barges that they have over there. Milwaukee River, Coho, or Milwaukee area, I should say, on Lake Michigan. The Coho are moving up the river. I've heard about some good action at Port still. Even the shore guys are getting fish, but up to Sheboygan. And those cohos will continue to move north as that water warms. Otherwise, over to Milwaukee, the Milwaukee River, great smallmouth fishery, some good pike in there, and that should be good all summer. Otherwise, like I said in the intro, you can't forget about trout. So creeks are generally running low and clear right now. We haven't had a ton of rain, but get out there and enjoy it before the weed, heat, and bugs show up. May is definitely one of the best times of the year to do some trout fishing. On the spinning gear side of things, suspending your sinking jerk baits like husky jerks and countdowns are work. Crappie-sized tube jigs, Panther Martins are awesome if you're using live bait. It's hard to beat a red worm under a bobber, but some people use chub tails and whole minnows. Otherwise, yeah, fly fishing has been awesome. I was out recently. I've been running into a few caddis hatches here and there. You're going to run into blue-winged olives too, and then we'll talk about some other flies here that are coming off. But on the nymph side of things, hard to beat a woolly bugger, pink squirrel, and scuds any time of the year. But hare's ears that look like a little bit of everything are also great nymph patterns. Otherwise, caddis nymphs and something like a beadhead pheasant tail is a great mayfly nymph imitation. If you don't see fish rising, you'll likely catch fish on those. Otherwise, on the dry fly side of things, like I said, blue-winged olives, I like a parachute are good. Flimps in any kind of a olive or dun colors are good. And then these crystal what do you call them? Crystal. Gosh, I'm blanking on the name. I can't remember it. Anyway, these flies right here, they have a little bit of elk hair on top. They float good. They look like mayflies, and they also look like caddis, so they can kind of double team on whatever might be hatching. Sometimes you run into both, but yeah, otherwise elk hair caddis are a great option. And then we're starting to creep into terrestrial time, and some of the mayflies that you might see hatching right now too include sulfurs. So sulfurs are a larger yellow, usually bright yellow mayfly. So pick up some sulfur patterns. I got this crippled sulfur is great. And then sulfur nymphs are also great. And then pale evening duns are something you might see come off in the evening, smaller mayflies. The color came out weird on this, but anything pale and yellow or even white is a good option. And I saw some crane flies the other day hatching. So sometimes the trout key in on crane flies, and that can be also super effective especially when they're keyed in on them. And then next week, I think I'm going to start talking about terrestrials, ants and beetles and stuff like that. But yeah, summer is cruising along and things are happening. That pretty much does it for the report. Do feel free to post your comments and catches below. Feel free to call the shop at 608-241-4225 if you'd like us to expand on anything. I do want to thank again the Yahara Fishing Club for doing a great job with that Kids Fishing Day. Make sure you check that out if you got a young person you want to get into fishing. But make sure you get out and do some fishing this weekend. It's going to be beautiful, and I wish you luck. I thank you for tuning into the report, and we will talk to you next week. Thanks so much.